Hello, everybody. This is Susan Oros from Revealing the Jewels of Autism. I am doing just really a test run on how
Hello,
to live
everybody.
stream
This is Susan Oros from Review.
how to live stream to YouTube. I'm figuring out how to do this, so bear with me. Today, this is a kind of a test run and a bit of an update about what we're experiencing happening. I am streaming through Zoom. But so there's about a 20-second delay. Anyway, it's been a very, very intense time. These last, I would say 3 or 4 weeks has been particularly more intense than um, I can recall in a while. So there's a lot of support that is coming through. There's a lot of changes going on, and I just wanted to pop in and kind of talk about it very quickly. So some of the new things that we're experiencing that is happening is what I would call diamond sun emanations of God force consciousness. So these are coming in to me as the God of the Paradisian earth was one of them. So meaning that it is emanating consciousness of how to co-create back to what we would call the state of Eden before the fall of consciousness took place. And in human form, this would be the fifth dimensional Tara that had originally seeded the avatar human. And the way I see it, and some of our autists see it, it's that fall from Tara that is the fall from what we'd call fall from grace into extreme density of the first, second, and third dimensions. So, what is happening now in getting us out of the polarity, extreme polarity system, and a system of the false matrix, it's been happening in stages now, and um, these God force emanations, as I call them, through the diamond suns, are the consciousness and in sort of instruction sets and codes that are coming in now to get back to the state of Eden before the fall. And it looks very challenging from our perspective now, but we have a lot of support. So some of the other things that are happening is there's another God or emanation, a God of Edenic time. So this means that timelines, false timelines, ascension timelines, are being dissolved through this emanation. And I witnessed it as I actually saw, I was shown at a vision of a clock, and it completely dissolved. It just kind of warped and started dissolving. Another God force emanation is what I call the God of Edenic magic. Oh, I'm backing up for a second. In this God of Edenic time now, it's for those of us who are really operating at an avatar level to create new timelines, new ascension timelines, to redirect all of us, redirect souls to the appropriate timeline that they need in order to ascend back into the fifth dimensional avatar consciousness. Oh, excuse me. So the other aspect was the God of Edenic magic. And this is an interesting one because it also involves the dissolution, dismantling, dissolution of powers and consciousness that have been embedded into our multidimensional system that is no longer supporting what we would call black magic. And when we talk about magic, we're really talking about um, alchemy, spiritual alchemy, and how we are able to transduce the codes, light language, even what we would consider to be, oh, excuse me 1 second, even what we would consider to be um, geometries, mathematical codes, and numbers, and how we then translate by engaging with plasma fields, various levels of plasma fields is what's coming in right now, and how that is transduced to become physicalized into this matter realm. And that means engaging even the quantum field and the macrocosmic realms. So this is what alchemy really is about. And if you take a moment and think about that, how do we come into this form? How are we sound and harmonics? And how are we even light that then translates to become this form and even a structure that enables us to maneuver and navigate a reality that is dense? How do we slow down light fibers and light codes to become dense and to have this seemingly illusion of being solid when we're always light? There's nothing about us that actually is solid except for the alchemy that allows for this illusion. So in that sense, we can imagine that even the false matrix had a false structure and rules that were really bending and manipulating the organic um, rules of becoming structure and becoming a form and being in matter. So one of the ways that that was done was to enable what we would consider black magic. So black magic is alchemy and symbols. Uses symbols. It uses spiritual beings, what we might consider to be fallen, and operating in extreme distortion. So that there was what we might consider artificial and even multidimensional devices that held consciousness that allowed this ultimate matrix that we've been in to exist and allow what we would consider to be Satanism and Luciferianism. And so there's been a lot of activity to eliminate those false devices, is the only way to, to say it. And it seems like this is science fiction, but these are some of the things that I've been experiencing here in the last few weeks. So the other aspect that is coming in and what's happening and why some of you may be feeling the intensity of it is that these now God forces are coming through, emanating through diamond suns, the new consciousness, the new information. There is new codes, new elemental spirits, new Davic spirits here to support this ascension. And so now what's being supported is Edenic magic or alchemy that will reconstruct, revitalize, regenerate, our entire physical world and our entire physical bodies. And this is happening because even the structure of our universe is changing. So some of the things that I've been seeing is through my light body, I have access to um, higher aspects of myself, and I see them as like different. It's almost like seeing like a totem and these different aspects of myself that connects into the seven higher heavens. And I'm watching even with Sammy how the structure is being it's wobbly at times, and now the structure is being rewoven. And when we think of structure, we think of the spiritual realm, the spiritual world outside of this physical body. It's hard to imagine that there is a structure, that we think it's just spiritual, it's all kind of etheric. But consider that you have a form, you have a structure. And even when we see, let's say, have visions of angels and other beings, there is a form to that. There's a coherence that is enabling and allows that consciousness to be held in a stability, in a form. So, because if that didn't exist, if there weren't any kinds of rules to engage this world, then we would just bleed into everything else. How are we individuated as a human body, as even a light body, as a soul? There are mathematical laws um, and God emanations of an infinite calculus and subtle codes at various levels that enable a consciousness to be held coherently in a body, even if it seems etheric. It keeps that consciousness that stable, and it allows it to have a form and exist. So the one of the ways to get us out of 3D consciousness, as I've talked about in the past, is that the rules have changed. So it's like saying the creator, in order to get us out of the very, very low density, extreme polarity consciousness in a false matrix, was to change the rules. You change the software that runs this, hologram, then those beings who have been manipulating that hologram and bending it in unnatural ways for their control and for their own self-serving kinds of agendas, the rules were changed. And we're seeing the activation of these rules, or the software, the program behind the hologram. We're witnessing the various stages of how it is activating. So one of the things is that the universal structure, the rules of the universal structure has changed, is changing, and we're living through these changes. And I would say one of the reasons why you may be feeling it so intensely lately is, one, because of the dissolution of false timelines and the removal of those consciousness devices that promoted and enabled Satanism and Luciferianism to exist. So, as those are being taken out now, and we are flooded with these diamond sun emanations, then it is intensely physical in what we're experiencing. Because again, our bodies are even made according to those laws of structure, laws of form. And if you listen to some of our galactic sun work that we did in 2018, in December 2018, and we were talking about in each dimensional levels, these new laws that are being embedded into our dimensionalized system. And let me just say, our bodies are multidimensional. We engage these 12 subharmonic bands of frequencies in each dimension that catalyzes and chemically manifests these bodies. Our bodies are multidimensional. The physical body is multidimensional. And that awareness in a closed 3D system was not accessible to us. And so now you take off, you remove all the barriers. And so now all of a sudden we feel like, ooh, things are maybe in some ways too open. And it's physically changing our bodies. Our bodies have to change in density in order to keep up with the rising frequencies or vibrations that that make up the human body. So the other aspect, let's see, I have some notes, I have some sticky notes up here. Is if you read our blog about weaving into the 36 dimensions, I mentioned that we were also weaving into going to be weaving into 48 dimensions, and that has happened also in the last few weeks as well. We're weaving into 48 quote dimensions, and I use the term dimensions kind of loosely because at that level, these fabrics or fields of creation don't exist in the same way as the 12 dimensions that we exist in here. So, and these dimensions we are weaving in is through our DNA. Our DNA is very, very sacred. So when we say that we are actually expressions of source, that we are the blueprint for the human avatar is to be an expression of God, the creator, the original source of all that is. And so it is through our DNA that we connect to the creator. And, when you think of DNA, we have to kind of set aside this idea that it's just atoms, electrons, protons, and neutrons that come together. Because before the actual manifestation or the alignment of atoms, there is what you might consider like light fibers, let's say, for lack of a better term, let's call them organized light fibers that then and that is the DNA in its again, for lack of a better term, in its light form, organized strands of light that is that then gives the instructions for the alchemical process to assemble your body. And it's obviously much more complex than that, but that's kind of the way I've been guided to see it lately. So there are some star seeds on the planet or indigo races that have 48 strands of DNA, 48 light fiber like strands in our light body. And it's through this mechanism now that we are connecting deeper into the 48 dimensions. And actually there's more that we're connecting to. And the way that I've been shown um, this and sort of what witnessing what Sammy is going through, we are connecting, literally connecting deeper and deeper into alpha and omega cycles of creation. So in that sense, alpha and omega, it's beyond time, it's beyond space, but there were have been many creation cycles, and these are non-dimensional, and that's what I would probably um, call this: is that we're plugging into these cycles of creation, and by doing so through the DNA strands, this is how we are connected to source. It's like going through the in infinite 0 point field and connecting to the all that is. This is at an omniversal level. So we think about multiverse. People are talking about multiverse. That to me is our 12-dimensional system and the harmonic universes that we engage here, which has kind of more of a more structure to it. But when we're talking about omniverse, we're talking about um, creation cycles. We're talking about alpha and omega. So we're plugging in to uh, the deeper knowing of source and the deeper aspects of the omniversal creation cycles through the DNA. So, and to make it even a bit more um, unbelievable, a friend and I, we've been working, she's been helping me work with Sammy lately, and she noticed that there are a lot of autists who actually have had come in with 54 strands of DNA. And so there was about, I think she calculated 76 or 79% of the autists have um, came in with 54 strands of DNA. And we also recently received, Sammy recently showed me this new technology that was created by Source. She called it the hyperbolic cube technology, and which enabled her to um, expand to 60 strands of DNA. And again, that means we're plugging in to cycles of creation, and it's actually through prime numbers that are like anchor points. I noticed when I was looking at my plants, I have some cucumber and a snap pea plant growing. And, when you put like a lattice or some type of support around them and they start to grab on to um, these anchor points, that's kind of reminded me of what is happening through the DNA. We're connecting deeper, and the prime numbers are ways of connecting to prime creator, the original two of the precursor of the masculine and feminine, or Holy Father and Holy Mother, that came together, and the first two that came together and created um, the Vesica Pisces, which is part of our blueprint as well. But anyway, um, so we're connecting into deeper and deeper aspects of creation cycles, and it's through our DNA. Our RNA is like communication links or triggers, the autists a couple of years ago, they showed me one in particular. She showed me that in our light body, we have a geometry or geometric kind of light geometry, basically that matches a messenger RNA that then communicates with the messenger RNA in our physical bodies. So, and it then gives information to the DNA um, about how to recalibrate and restructure. So there is new DNA. It comes through the light body, and to get the upgrades and the changes, we have to be able to communicate with our light body. Now, I don't want to get people, I don't want to put people in fear or panic, but just note that term, messenger RNA. And where have you heard that recently, and what is happening on the planet with um, these shots, the mRNA shots that are being given, that that is synthetic messenger RNA. So take a moment and reflect on that and see how that feels. I'm not going to tell anybody what they should do or not do, um, but I want people to understand that our DNA is sacred. It is our communication, or like fiber optic cables at a micro level or quantum level, that communicates with source, that communicates with prime creator. So um, reflect on that for a bit. One last piece that I'll share now before I end is I talked a little bit about all the changes taking place to our the universal architecture, and there are new rules that, or this, you might consider that the law of one. Within the law of one, there are many new laws in how to create the human and how we exist. Now, that's Sammy, because she was doing well for a while, and now for the past 4 or 5 days, it's been really intense again, and she's having a very difficult time because again, this is very, very physical, and part of what she's doing is connecting through the physical. And so, some of you out there, you may be using your physical body to anchor this in, because it takes a physical human here to be able to really land it here in the physical. Otherwise, it just remains out in the ethers. To make it reality here in our 3D realm that we've existed in, it is the star seeds, indigo races that are doing this race, that are doing this job, as well as many of these autists. So, anyway, one of the latest things that has activated or come on here to help continue with the changes is an interdimensional free world council. And what that means is that even the interdimensional fields and spaces are going to be changing and changing as we speak. So we have more physical structures and restructuring that is being done. And one of the jobs of the Interdimensional Free World Council is to hold the planet as steady as possible through these changes, because our Earth, the physical matter Earth, is also experiencing many of these changes. And as some of you may know, as the earth rotates, it has a wobble. And so they're here. Part of what they're doing is like I see these like braids of energy that are kind of encircling the earth that they've started, and that will hold the wobble of the earth as steady as possible through the changes. So we're supposed to go through a major density change here this the remainder of this year, and this is what we'll be feeling, um, and it's gonna change our physical bodies. It's changing the plasma fields. If you've been tracking any of the solar activity, there's been a lot of solar activity and solar flares. I think there was an X-class flare last week, which is very, very intense and can knock you out for a few days. I know I was kind of knocked out yesterday. So there's a lot happening. The plasma field of the earth is spewing out lots of what I'm getting is electrons that um, we engage in order to change our matter state. So there's again just so much going on. I've been drawing and drawing like mad for I don't know the last month or so, which is why I haven't been quite as present on Facebook and other places, and um, trying to even write a blog uh, with so many different and new things happening and things that I'm seeing. It's been a bit challenging to keep up with all of that. But with this video or the link to the video, I am going to put um, I will put in it in a blog format on our website with some images that I've drawn recently, like the god of Paradisian Earth and the god of Edenic Time, god of Edenic Magic. There's another one recently to burn out miasma, which is dead light energy that's trapped in the body. Um, Also, consuming the madness is another one that I got from the Diamond Suns, because it can feel like we're going insane, and there are people that are doing that because as everything has opened and we have access to more, it can also for people who don't understand what's going on, it can also feel like our reality is changing because it is, and it can feel like um, there is so much in our body that's being released, and this could be releases of mental body programs, emotional body programs, and that has been stuck in the physical body, healing of the physical body, because any trauma that we've experienced, especially things lately that made us angry in 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 our lives, that we had to that we couldn't express or that we had to keep down, um, that's all coming up. And so if you're feeling a lot of anger and even rage, it's whatever was stuck in your body that is coming up, to be released through the body. And the good news is we do have a lot of support to release it a lot easier and a lot faster. It is still uncomfortable. It is still very, it can be traumatic if um, you're feeling like you have to relive it, again. But, try and keep in mind that it's for your evolution, and and it's for the ultimate healing that you came to do in this physical incarnation. Yeah, that's Sam. Carl is with her. Yeah, she's been like this off up and down and been doing lots of energy work, lots of clearing as much as I can. And sometimes it's what she's trying to bring through, and it's uncomfortable in the body to bring it through. And so I'm doing lots of interdimensional clearings and dimensional clearing. Sometimes I can't see it all until it takes a few days. I'm drawing images. Um, that helps to bring it into this realm. So anyway, there's a lot going on. There is a lot of support. If you're feeling um, that anger that wants to come out, and even like you're on fire, and it's a lot of um, fire and um, fire energy, and a lot of healing that is being done. I'm also just getting now so that we're stepping into this energy of water, uh, and that may help to alleviate some of the symptomology that you might be experiencing. So it is very intense. It is very surreal. It's surreal for me in what I'm seeing and feeling and sensing. There are no words to even describe what some of this is like or about. Um, but as many of you watching may know, there's we're moving beyond constructs that we have known, and so we don't have the exact language yet. And sometimes that's okay. Well, it is okay to not have the exact words or language for it, because especially it's important right now to leave room for that openness so that the new can come through. Otherwise, then we're just redefining things in the same words, and limiting it in the same 3D way. And that's why at times I say uh, it's best, for lack of a better term, I might use light or codes, but even those are really um, infinite when we think of it from the perspective of God's source. So I hope you're all doing as well as possible. And check into our website, www.moonaros.one. And in, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 days, I should have a blog post, which will mainly be images. And I'll be posting the link to this YouTube video that people can listen to, people can watch. And I'm trying the YouTube instead of just live streaming through Facebook, because I know some of our followers are not on Facebook. I know there's a lot of controversy even about YouTube, um, but they do have a lot of good content as well, and there's a lot of good people on YouTube. So I always try and keep in mind that there is a positive to any of these platforms, and it's how we choose to use them. So just want to say thank you very much, and be well.